GM just had 600,000 trucks recalled for catastrophic engine failure. Toyota is on its second major engine recall in 18 months. Same engine, same problem. Honda has 1.4 million vehicles under federal investigation right now. Hyundai paid over $1 billion in settlements, handed people replacement engines, and those engines failed the same way. These are not fringe brands. These are the four biggest names in the American market, and they're all imploding at the same time. That's not a coincidence. That's not bad luck. And it sure as hell isn't four separate, isolated problems. There is one industry-wide crisis driving all of this, and today we're going to break down exactly what it is. Because the manufacturers are not going to tell you. Hit that subscribe button right now to protect your vehicle with real facts. Here's the truth. Every single one of these failures traces back to the same set of root causes. Engineers didn't suddenly forget how to build engines. What changed is the environment those engineers are forced to work in. And when you stack all of these factors together, you get exactly what we're seeing right now. Here is reason number one. They stuffed a race car engine into your family truck. Let me paint you a picture real quick. Back in the 1990s, this truck had a big 5.7-liter V8 under the hood. It made maybe 220 horsepower. That engine had room to breathe. Big, heavy parts, thick walls, lots of metal everywhere. That thing would run forever because it was never being pushed anywhere near its limit. You could skip an oil change, run it hard in the summer heat, and it just kept going. Those engines are still out there. Now here's what's happening today. Manufacturers figured out a trick. Slap a turbocharger on a tiny 2.7-liter engine, crank up the boost, and squeeze 400 horsepower out of something the size of a suitcase. On paper, that sounds awesome. More power, smaller engine, better fuel economy numbers, marketing loves it. The EPA loves it. Everybody's happy. Except your engine. That little 2.7-liter engine is producing more internal pressure, more heat, and more stress on every component than that old V8 ever did. We're talking cylinder pressures over 2,000 psi. That's the kind of pressure you used to only see inside purpose-built race engines. Your truck is not getting rebuilt after every race. It's sitting in a parking lot with the AC on while you shop. Think about it like this. Imagine two guys carrying boxes. Guy number one is 250 pounds of muscle built for heavy lifting. Guy number two is a skinny 140-pound kid. Now you load both of them up with the exact same amount of weight. The big guy handles it fine. But that skinny kid, he's grinding through every joint, burning out twice as fast. That's your modern engine. It's the skinny kid carrying a big man's load every single day for years. And here's what makes it even worse. These engines have tolerances measured in microns. A human hair is about 70 microns thick. We're talking about gaps smaller than that. Everything has to be machined to absolute perfection for this to work. There is zero margin for error. With the old-school big V8, a little extra wear or a tiny bit of debris in the oil, the engine could handle it. It just kept going. With today's engine, a microscopic piece of metal in the wrong place, and the whole thing starts coming apart. The manufacturers know this, but fuel economy targets demanded smaller engines with more power, pushing the limits of what metal and oil can survive. Reason 2. The oil in your engine is basically water now, and that was 100% intentional. This one genuinely makes me angry. 20 years ago, most engines ran on 5W30. It was thick enough to coat your bearings with a solid protective film and handle heat. Then the push started. Thinner oil flows faster and improves fuel efficiency, so 5W30 became 0W20. Now some are speccing 0W8. 0W8 is so thin that if you poured it on your hands, it would feel like water. That is standing between your engine and destruction. They did it because running thinner oil saves about half a mile per gallon on the EPA test. That's it. Your $75,000 truck is running oil barely thicker than what you'd use to oil a squeaky door hinge. For thin oil to work, parts must be machined to precise tolerances. If that gap is too large, the oil just gets pushed out. Now you've got a situation where everything has to go right. The assembly has to be perfect. The oil has to stay clean. There cannot be a single piece of debris anywhere in that system. But real life doesn't work that way.
Real life means a cold start on a January morning in Minnesota, where that thin oil takes a few extra seconds to fully circulate. And here's the part almost nobody is talking about, and they absolutely should be. Old engine bearings were built with a lead overlay on top. Not a lot of lead, just a thin, soft layer sitting on the surface. And that lead did something incredibly important. It was forgiving. If a tiny piece of debris got into your oil and hit that bearing, it would just embed right into that soft lid layer and sit there harmlessly. If your oil pressure dropped for a split second during a cold start, that lead layer would absorb it. If your engine ran slightly hot on a long summer tow, the lead could handle it. Then environmental regulations, specifically laws targeting toxic materials in vehicles, pushed manufacturers to eliminate lead from engine components entirely. Which, look, protecting the environment matters. But here's the problem nobody went back and solved. When you take the lead out of the bearings, you replace it with harder aluminum-based alloys. Cleaner? Yes. More durable in a perfect world? Sure. But forgiving? Absolutely not. These new bearings do not absorb debris. They get scored by it. They do not tolerate a momentary drop in oil pressure. Every imperfection that the old lead bearings would have quietly absorbed now becomes a direct attack on the bearing's surface. You've got ultra-thin oil that provides the thinnest possible protective film. You've got tolerances so tight that the slightest imperfection breaks through. You pulled 3 safety nets out at the same time. And then you cranked up the power and called it progress. The proof? GM's recall fix for the 6.2-liter V8 was switching from OS20 to OW40, literally twice as thick. GM told you through their own recall remedy that OW20 was never adequate for that engine in real-world driving. Machining debris is destroying bearings before you ever drive off the lot. This one's in the actual NHTSA documents. When manufacturers cut and hone engine blocks, they generate microscopic metal particles, razor-sharp, harder than the bearing material. A professional engine builder working by hand spends hours cleaning a single engine. Hot tanks, pressure washing, 5 or 6 passes, but GM builds 10,000 engines a day. At that scale, you get automated rinses and quick visual checks. That's it. The oil film was thick enough to absorb it. The bearing material was soft enough to embed it harmlessly. But with today's engines running 0W20 oil and micron-level clearances, one microscopic piece of metal between a bearing and a crankshaft starts acting like sandpaper spinning at thousands of RPM. An hour later, you've got scoring. A day later, metal on metal. A week later, the engine breaks down on the freeway with your kids in the back seat. Toyota's own NHTSA filing for the Tundra recall describes debris of a particular size and amount that can lodge against the No. 1 main bearing. GM's filing calls out multiple supplier manufacturing and quality issues impacting crankshaft and connecting rod components. They're saying it themselves, in federal documents, in plain English. Reason 4. COVID broke the factories, and the engines built then are hitting their breaking point right now. This one isn't talked about enough. Engines built between 2020-22 came out of factories that were completely chaotic. Skeleton crews. New suppliers were brought in with no track record. Quality inspectors are either gone or running at reduced capacity. Normal validation protocols were thrown out the window because production schedules couldn't slip. GM struggled with out-of-spec connecting rod dimensions. Toyota confirmed manufacturing contamination issues at its Japanese and Alabama plants. Stellantis found actual sand trapped inside engine blocks. These are not rumors. These are documented in recall filings. Those 2020 to 2022 engines are now at 60,000 to 100,000 miles. The range where microscopic defects become catastrophic. The warranty complaints are spiking right now. We're living through the delayed consequences of 3 years of compromised manufacturing. Reason 5. Start-stop technology is accelerating bearing wear every single day. This is the feature everybody hates. Every time your engine shuts off at a red light and restarts, oil pressure drops to 0. When the engine fires back up, there's a brief moment where the bearings are spinning with no oil film protecting them. That's a dry start event. And cold starts are responsible for the majority of total engine wear over a vehicle's lifetime. With older engines running 5W30 and normal clearances, that brief moment was manageable. The oil film residue was thick enough. Now do that same dry start with OW20 oil, micron-tight tolerances, and high-pressure turbocharging. Every single restart is a small insult to your bearings. Your city commute might be running 40 to 50 of these cycles a day. Highway fleet trucks often outlast personal trucks because highway trucks don't get this constant start-stop abuse. The miles on the odometer aren't the real story. The number of start cycles is Reason 6. CAFE fuel economy rules forced engineers into designs they knew were risky. And now we get to the root of the root, the reason all of these other reasons exist, CAFE standards. Corporate average fuel economy rules set the average, MPG, that a manufacturer's entire fleet must hit or face massive financial penalties. $17 per vehicle for every tenth of a mile per gallon they fall short. A manufacturer selling 2 million vehicles that misses the target by just 1 mile per gallon is looking at over $300 million in fines. So what do manufacturers do? They squeeze every fraction of MPG out of every engine by any means necessary. Tiny turbocharged engines instead of larger naturally aspirated ones. Ultra-thin oil, cylinder deactivation, start-stop systems. All of these technologies exist primarily to hit a number on a government fuel economy test, not because they make engines last long. Engineers didn't forget how to build reliable motors. The engineers who built the 5.7-liter Tundra V8 that ran forever didn't disappear. What changed is their bosses said, "We need to hit 49 mpg across our fleet or we're paying billions in penalties. To hit that number, we need you to do things you know are going to compromise long-term reliability at a mass production scale." The manufacturers ran the math. A predictable rate of engine failures and recalls was calculated to be less expensive than missing CAFE targets. They chose compliance over reliability. And you are paying for that with a truck that cost $80,000 and died at 35,000 miles. The underlying cause is that these engines were engineered to hit a fuel economy target, not to survive 200,000 miles in the real world. You can't change what the manufacturers built, but you can stack the odds in your favor. Check your VIN right now at nhtsa.gov. Cut your oil intervals in half. Your manual says 7,500 miles. Do 4,000. It's a cheap insurance policy for your engine. Kill start-stop every single time you drive. If your car has a button, press it. You'll gain years of bearing life. After your warranty expires, consider 1 grade heavier oil. Just enough to give your bearings a fighting chance. If you're buying used, stay away from 2021 through 2024 model years. A 2018 V8 may genuinely be safer than a 2022 twin-turbo. If this video opened your eyes, hit that like button and subscribe. This story is nowhere near over.